We emptied our last $4,000 into a $14,000 mentorship. Timmy with the intro, and he's probably going to leave to go sit on the couch now, or stay here. Who knows? So, this was back in 2021. Stick around to the end if you want to hear some of the results of this. As you can see, I got some notes here to make sure I stay on track, on topic. As you guys know, I like to yap, so I want to make sure we get the good stuff in there, and we'll always riff a little bit in there as well. So back in 2021, when my wife and I first got married, we went into business together pretty much straight away. So we moved into our first place together, and okay, Timmy's leaving. Bye, Timmy. And at the time, I was working as a PT. She had just dropped out of med school, or taken a gap year from med school, for which she would never return for now. And we were paying, like, the mortgage on this place $800 a week. And in some periods during the PT times, it was mainly just me working. And sometimes it was $200 a week coming in from the PT business. Now, she came to me one day, in the midst of all of this, not being too sure what she wanted to do initially, and she told me, I found this course, this mentorship that includes a course. It's $14,000 or 10,000 US dollars, 14,000 Aussie dollars at the time, and we have $4,000 left in our savings. Should we do this? And I sat with God about it, but pretty much, like, the immediate answer that came to me was yes, of course we'll do it, because if it's the right thing, we'll go ahead and do it. So intuitively we got, yes, this is the right thing to do. And when I said yes, she was initially like, wait, what? Actually. And then she reached out to these people for this mentorship and asked if we could do a payment plan. Like, she was like, this is all we have in our savings. It's $4,000. Can we give all of this to you, and then we will pay it in 3 parts, basically. You don't ask, the answer's always no. And they said yes. So we did that, and we just emptied it out. And for us, the primary thing was that God had made it very clear that this was the thing to do. This was like, it's just very obvious that it was, hey, emptied this out, you'll be provided for, everything will be okay. The numbers, whilst they don't make sense right in front of you and, like, by your eyes, they'll work out. Because the mindset that a lot of the best investors go into, as we've seen over time and just happen to put into practice then and there, is there's never a good time. There's never a right, perfect time, more often than not. It's like the stars are never really aligned for these things. It's more about who you become in those moments when you take it and make it the right moment. Because there are always going to be an infinite number of reasons to not do it. You will just do that stuff to keep yourself safer. But if you want to build a meaningful life and the life that you want, it's going to take action in accordance with what you're called to do, with what is, well, what we'd say is counterintuitive. So it's like you have to be willing to do counterintuitive things to create something extraordinary. Because a lot of people that we see go into business, okay, here's my business plan, I'm going to do this by this stage, and this by this stage, and this by year 3, and that, blah, blah, and then they start, and then the plan goes out the window straight away, shaboink, and they're like, what do? I gotta create another business plan. No. Stop wasting all your time faffing about creating business plans, or as some people call it, mental masturbation, and set the intent for where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and the specifics will inform themselves. As I like to say, put the cart before the horse, the specifics will inform themselves. So that means get the momentum rolling in the direction, and then what you need to do along the way, it'll make itself evident to you. Because even if you think about the best things that you've done in your life, or a lot of things in your life, you probably had a plan for this. It's going to go this way, this way, this way, this way. And none of that happened that way, because, God's plan, not ours. But yeah, so you kind of have to say, stuff the business plan a lot of the time, because it's a thing that I find for most people, it's just an immense waste of time and energy towards something that feels like you're getting stuff done, but you're not actually getting stuff done. It's like you're planning to go and plan, so you can plan for the plan to plan ahead for the plan. Whereas you could just do the thing and then look back and be like, oh, that worked out that way, and you can look retrospectively. So yeah, we just decided we're going to go ahead and do this thing without having any of the specifics in order. None of the numbers made sense. It would have made sense, oh, if I get my PT business to here first, or if we get our savings to this first, then we'll go ahead and do that. And a point that I wanted to get on early is understanding that a big part of this is investing in your partners, because a lot of people, they think investing in your partner, like for example, that's my wife. My wife that came to me with that, and they'd think, okay, no, I have to invest a certain way. It needs to look this way, in which they think this is what providership is. Like I'm providing through, I'm going to get this much in the savings, or I'm going to have this much in my business account, and it all has to come through me, because there tends to be a lack of security in being like, okay, how can I raise my partner up? So sometimes it might be like they're doing better than me, so to speak, but it's like, if you're together in it anyway, it's like, is that really someone doing better, or is that you guys elevating one another together through your actions? And yeah, that's a lot of the time what it looks like, and that's having full faith, having that first step. Because for me, I was like, okay, I just believe in her, or it's not even belief, it's like I just know that she can do this, so of course we're going to make it work. We'll figure it out. We'll do whatever we need to do, and it will all work out. Because of who we are and who I had faith that we were and would become through the decision, not in spite of it. So not through waiting for it to work out magically at some stage, but through us actually going ahead and doing this thing, you choose to become a certain person. So this is another thing that a lot of the best people go into any kind of investment with. It's more about who you become and not purely about being fixated on the results of it. Of course, we want to measure results, but if you go into it being like, I have to get the result now, like I need to see it now, I need to see the return on investment right now, that's not how the best people go into it. They, more often than not, will be like, oh, we'll see what happens. I'm going to go in and give it my absolute best. I know who I'm going to become better through this. I'm going to learn some skills, and that's going to translate over way more than just me having to get some kind of result from this. So it's who you become, and as we say, faith, if it have not works, is dead. This is faith with works. So putting your money where your mouth is, putting your actions in alignment with your faith, that's true faith, I find. That just is true faith. Like, look it up, it's in the Bible. And the results that you get are a reflection of that, of who you become through that process. And again, the best people go into any kind of investments with this, whether it's a business investment or whether that is stocks, real estate, all that. That's how we've gone into it as well. And through doing my own research and listening to how these people speak and operate, successful people, then you see that pattern. You see the common thread, the golden thread of investing, if you will. And yeah, so like that $4,000 being emptied out, that was not the plan. That was not exactly what we had intended to do. I don't know if we had sat down and done this before, or maybe we did it after that, but we just looked at this document last night. That's another story, but quick little Easter egg for you guys for future is we sat down in 2021 in October, and we wrote out this document, like plan for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years and 5 years, I think, and we had some little things in there. That's real fun to look back on, because we smashed a lot of that stuff out the park. But that was not necessarily in the plan there, but it was something that came up, whether we made the plan before or after, but it was something that came up, and it was very obvious. God was like, hey, go for it. Like, this is the thing. You say that you want to lead a faith-led life. Let's see it. So we went ahead and did that, and it's working out pretty well so far. Again, I'll share some numbers with you guys at the end, and anyone who's been around for a while knows some of the numbers, and I'll add a little extra sauce in there for you guys as well. So yeah, it's who you become, and also being mindful with these things. The mindset for it is measuring the outcomes still, just not being fixated on them. It's about having the ability to know what you're like, be intentional about what am I looking to get out of this. And I think the ultimate thing is who I'm going to become, but then also measuring if it's something that's supposed to be a financial mentorship, measure how that goes. Like the fruits of that are really important to gauge. What's up, Omar, joining us in here? What's cracking? Yeah, and one of the biggest things to have when it comes to the mindset for investing is understanding that you're paying for, like, this is what we understood at the time, we're paying for convenience and speed, not necessarily some skill, because we knew we were going to make it regardless. And if you know you're going to make it regardless, then, you know, the money works itself out. But when it comes to that, the best people understand, some people will need to pay to learn the things and get the accountability and all that. But if you're someone who's going to be about it anyway, and you know it's a matter of when, not if, because some people go in and it's a matter of if, not when. They're like, oh, if this works out, then da-da-da-da-da, I'll do that. But if you can go in going, okay, I've decided this is going to happen, it's just a matter of when, then you can even let go of the timeline, because it's God's timeline. So the when, you don't even have to worry about that. You just focus on what you're given to do day after day from who you're being. Omar, hey there, brother. Hope you vibe well. Indubitably. Likewise, bro. Likewise. So yeah, you're paying for convenience and speed. You're paying to learn these things or go through the problems that would otherwise take years and years, because it might be something like I've seen people take like 2 to 3 years to learn some of the stuff that we learned in 6 weeks. Yeah, you're paying to encounter and solve those problems faster, better, and build a stronger foundation to then stand on to go ahead and do other things. So, because imagine if you could make years worth of progress, or some people never make the progress in 6 weeks. Imagine if you could do that. How much further would you be in a matter of years? That's a really important principle to understand. It's the convenience and the speed that you pay for, as well as you're paying for what not to pay attention to. And this is more prevalent now, more than ever, than back then. Back then, I don't think we were on social media as much, like my wife and I. We were still new to that. Like this was, I didn't even say what this mentorship was for. So this mentorship was really like how to launch an online personal training business. Yeah, so it was like some of the online marketing that comes with that. So organic marketing, like organic content, yeah, just content creation, a little bit, some basic stuff, and cold outreach were the main 2 things that we got from that, organic marketing. So that's what the course was, and we weren't really too much in the online space. But now more than ever, even back then, there's a lot of oversaturation, as people like to say, of the information. So there's so much out there that I've found that for myself as well, when I'm trying to find out what to do just from researching it, because I'm like, I want to save some dough and like I don't want to spend the money on it, I spend so much more time and energy, and ultimately money, because that's what money is, time and energy, trying to research this thing and find out this thing for free. I spend so much more doing that and like confuse myself and don't stick with anything for longer than a week than if I were to just pay for something. Then I'm like, oh cool, I don't even have to pay attention to that other stuff. It's very clear what I'm going to do now, and I'll go ahead and do that. And you just follow through, because like you've paid to pay attention and for what not to pay attention to. So you can get so much more done because you just hone your focus. And again, money, time, and energy are all 3 different versions of the same thing. So you put money one way, you're inherently putting your energy and focus that same direction as well, when you go in for that. So convenience and speed, big thing that we're paying for there, coming back to that point, and understanding there's never a right time. Like the best people come in and understand there's never a best time. The stars will never align. Little drink of water. Got that ready for today. It's about taking and making the moments right. So it's that phrase of there's no such thing as a perfect moment, and perfection's the lowest standard that we can hold ourselves to. That's another point. There's no such thing as the perfect moment. So technically that makes any moment the perfect moment to start. Because if you're waiting for everything to fall into place, the golden mat to be laid out for you, the stars to align, the sun to hit the perfect angle, for some, like the voice of God himself to come down and be like, go, and like to just give it to you, it doesn't look like that. It just never does. It's always like, you know, inside, like for myself at least, like I feel it in my giblets, so to speak, or I feel it intuitively. I feel it in my spirit. Like, okay, this is clearly what God's calling us to do. And that's it. Like, you don't need more than that. When you know, you know. But a lot of people start looking for external signs because I understand why. It doesn't make it acceptable. They are scared. And it makes sense. But the fact is, I'm scared too when this stuff happens. My wife is scared too when we go ahead and do this stuff. The dogs probably can tell. I don't think they get that scared, but they can tell. So it's not about not being scared, because courage only exists because of fear. So courage isn't the absence of fear, it's having the fear and choosing to move anyway. That's a really key thing people need to understand when you're going into this. There's not going to be a right time unless you decide that it's the right time. That's the deciding factor. You become the deciding factor, and that's a big part of who you become with these decisions. You are saying, okay, I'm going to take this whatever the circumstance looks like, and I'm going to go for it. Because if you don't do that, if you do the opposite, then you're like, oh, you know, this doesn't work out. There's this payment coming up. Oh, there's this coming up. There are going to be an infinite number of reasons that are going to come up for you. But you are essentially saying to yourself that I give more control to my external circumstances than I do to my own power and my own ability to make decisions. And when you do that, that is the thing that most people don't see. That's the little implication of making decisions like that sets a certain standard for you in your life. And as a result of that, everything that occurs as a result of that is a consequence of that standard that you set for yourself, because there is no external thing without what you decide internally. So everything that you're experiencing now is a result of your choice. That's another one. Lots of little things to go into for future chats. But we're staying on topic. I've got my notes. So there is not that right time, and when you decide that now is the right time, that makes it the right time. It's that decision, and that internal decision and standard that you set for yourself will dictate the external outcome, especially when you can let go of that outcome. So that's the last, or one of the threads that connects all of this, is the ability to let go of the outcome. Of course, like, we had plans, like, oh, we're going to get to this much in this period of time, this much in this. Like, when we set those goals out, it was like 3 months this, 6 months this, 9 months, a year this, 3 years, 5 years. But then the important bit that a lot of people don't do is letting go of the expectations of that timeline of, oh, okay, it's got to look this way. Like, I've got to get my results in this period of time, and I can't accept anything else. Because more often than not, when you're doing that, if you could get the results faster, you tend to drag it out for that period of time, because you're like, I said this would take 7 years because of my business plan. And then it takes you 7 years when you could have done it in like 1 year or 6 months or something like that, to give an example of that. So yeah, it's the ability to let go of that, the timeline and your expectations, because it's God's timing anyway, as we said. Yeah, and that's really the most tangible and best way to go into these things that I've found in our experience for any kind of investment. And I mean, at this stage, we've invested well over 500,000 into ourselves for these kind of like mentorships and courses, all of that, like speed of learning. We've paid to become those people, essentially. And it's like, if you already are that person, then you're just paying to be more yourself. Anyway, again, deep. Yeah, and it's like for all investments across the board, not just specifically education, if you would, because it's all education, all learning. Anyway, we've done well over $1 million in the last 4 years now of being together, 4 or 5 years. So pretty worthwhile. Now, I'll share some of these numbers, because I said I would, as well with that one, and we'll get more into the chain effect that this had. But through that standard that we set by saying this is who we are going to be, my wife went ahead, did the mentorship, and in the first 6 weeks, so keep in mind, $4,000 put in for a $14,000 $14,000 course, and then in the first 6 weeks did a $34,000 launch for that. And the rest, as they say, it's history. But if you were to look at that, most people would be like, oh yeah, I'd take that investment. Like how many things can you do like that? Imagine cash in hand, $4,000 out for this, for something that is a almost 9x return on investment. Is that math right? Yeah, it is. Like over 8 times return on investment. A lot of people would be like, yeah, I'd take that if it was guaranteed, if I 100% knew that was going to happen. But the thing is, it never works like that. You never get the guarantee that it's going to go that way moving forward. And if you're someone that needs that guarantee, then you're shooting yourself in the foot by making that decision, because the guarantee isn't an external thing. The guarantee is an internal thing. It's who you decide to be. That is what guarantees the continued success as well as the short term in those moments. So that is something, it was the result of that, and we were able to build much more online. But the thing is, for that, like, I was very old school with this. I was like, I'm a personal trainer, that's my background. I had this thing where I was like, how am I supposed to do personal training, this personal thing, online? I'm not going to get people the right results. It's like intangible for me. So I was like, how are you supposed to get the like paid for that stuff? Like, would anyone really pay for that? And yeah, I was just like, nah, I like the PT lifestyle. But honestly, this is where I can be a bit stubborn sometimes. What's up, Caleb? Good to see you joining in. When I saw my wife do that, and she hadn't left the house in 6 weeks, hadn't trained a single in-person client, but was getting these fantastic results for clients, like really good results. Results, some of them of which were better than some trainers I've seen be in the industry for ages that are like so married to this old school approach. So I just thought maybe I put $40,000 in the title. I did not. I put $4,000. So some of these results were better than some of these seasoned trainers. And I was like, a lot of my reality, or what I believed, was questioned. And at this stage, guess what? My wife had already said, what's up, muscle stud? She didn't say that. But my wife had already said, hey, you should get into online coaching. You'd be really good at it. My mum had said that to me as well. She was like, you should get into online coaching. I was like, no, I know better. So that's that, like, every time my wife has said to do something, especially like I've gained more and more evidence for that, my rate of success is largely dictated by how quickly I can implement what she said to do. Because she can always see something that I just can't in that moment. So that's another thing. Marry a good woman and just listen to her. Implement that stuff, because you'll be able to elevate each other so much more that way. And vice versa for some other things. Sometimes we're blind to our own stuff. No, I'm just kidding. My wife's perfect. She has no, she's great. She's sitting on the couch over there. I see her smiling at this. Yeah, so she said to do that stuff, and I think she said it maybe twice, and she knows that if I won't listen from that, then she'll just be like, all right, I'll show you, do the thing. And then once she did that, 34,000, I saw the numbers, I saw the lifestyle, I saw the results. I saw myself waking up at 5 a.m. every day to drive for an hour to the gym to train people, and then not spend that much time with my dogs. One dog at the time, Zeke. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this online training thing isn't so bad. Maybe there's something to it. And then it was actually still a few months later before I got into it, because this was end of 2021. Then I saw it, and then start of 2022, like the end of February 2022, I got into online coaching as well. We did it, and using, like, I jumped into a mentorship for that as well. And again, it was, funnily enough, a lot of the same stuff. And I think that's probably just what was working at the time. I mean, it still works, but content and what was the other thing? Content and cold outreach are just like staples. Cold and warm outreach. So like forms two of the primary things within organic marketing. Yeah, that's one of the, I'm just writing a quick note here because I'll make sure to say that point in a second. That's one of the biggest things. And if we think about it from a business standpoint, I'm being quite loud actually. If we think about it from a business standpoint, I'm getting excited talking about this. we actually didn't learn too much marketing back then compared to what we know now. And we're going to look back in a couple of years and be like, we knew nothing about marketing back then, like compared to what we know now, which is the fun of the game as well. But even back then, if you look at overall what was available marketing-wise, we didn't necessarily learn that much. What we got to do was develop our business acumen, and a lot of the results that we've had have actually come more so from that, because we treat it as we're business owners, first and foremost, not just I'm an online coach. It's like online coaching is the specific delivery of what I do as a business owner. And a lot of people, I think, miss that. And it's just it can seem like such a small thing, but when you adopt that identity, or like that identity, whatever you want to call it, of I'm a business owner, it really shifts your perspective on even little day-to-day things. It's like, how would a business owner think about this? Like, oh, would a business owner be doing it this way? Ba 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 ba, and we go from there. Yeah, so that led to me jumping into online coaching. So see, still little tangents. Like, I still go off on this stuff. But that led to me going into online coaching. We'll tell more of the story of that, because it was like the first domino, and then one of the second dominoes was me getting into online coaching, and that went we got that to 10K a month in the first 6 weeks as well, and then it went on to progress and progress and progress. The point that I got to with online fitness coaching was I'm going to do another live video on this topic specifically, going over all the specifics of this. That got to 240K a year plus, with me working like 12 hours a week. So that was pretty sick. That was fun. And yeah, then that just like bled from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And all the while we're investing, we're building into things. We're using our 50-20-10 rule. So we're increasing our income by more than 50% a year, investing 20% of it at least. We invested way more than 20%. If you look at some of those percentages, it's like we're investing probably like 400%, 500%, 600% into these skills, but then into something, the 10, that yields you at least a 10% return per year, preferably without you touching it. But that's that basically. That's the primary crux of this one. If you guys want to know more, feel free to reach out, shoot us a message, and we'll have a little chat, see where you're at. But yeah, that's that. That's the story of how we invested our last $4,000 into a $14,000 mentorship. Obviously, that's been paid off now. There you go. Rounded out that story. Yeah, this is all the art of being man and woman. Leading faith-led lives. That's the thing. Yeah, embody that, and it'll be all gravy, baby. Catch you guys on the flippity flip, and if you're catching the replay, enjoy. Ba 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 ba.